Hello teachers, my name is Ashley Young.
And I'm Becky Murray, and we'd like to demonstrate to you our ESCI 302 unit plan.
We did grade 1 life science, needs and characteristics of living things. Okay, so lesson 1 is living versus non-living. We're going to start out the class by reading What's Alive. And I don't actually physically have the book, but you can find it online and I'll show a picture of it. We're going to start out by reading that book, and then we're going to talk about what happened in it. And then we're going to go outside and get hula hoops. My lovely hula hoops right here. And then the students are going to go outside and find things around the playground. And then we're all going to get together and they're going to put the things that they think are living in one hula hoop and things that are non-living in the other hula hoop. For assessment throughout our unit, we have a grade 1 science journal where they're going to record everything that they found. They're going to include pictures, words, important things that we've talked about.
Okay, so now we're on to lesson number 2, which is human body exploration. During this lesson, the students will learn about their 5 senses, including their sight, smell, texture, hearing, taste, and I've also incorporated movement into this lesson. In grade 1, the class may have already done a unit on the 5 senses, so this can either just be like reiteration of that, or it can be an introduction to the 5 senses. Either way, we are going to explore each of these by going to several different stations. The students will be paired with one more person. Alright, now we're moving on to lesson number 3, human needs versus wants. So for this lesson, the purpose is for the students to understand the difference between a need and a want, so that they can carry this understanding on and relate it to animals and plants and the environment all around them. So some of the activities that we'll do within this lesson include a poem, which is included in our unit plan, which is on the wiki. One of the other activities is having a bag, and the teacher will pull out items. So one item could include a cell phone, and the children will have to say whether it's a need or a want. Now some of these things could be arguable. I mean, obviously water is a need. We need that to live. But things like a game controller, when you're in grade 1, they might view it as a necessity. So you'll have to differentiate between a need and a want. And part of this could go deeper to explain to the kids that there are people in the world that do not have all their needs and wants met. You may even encourage them to do a project like Operation Christmas Child, where they pack a shoebox and send it to a third world country for a child in need. So we want them to learn about the difference between a need and a want and carry it on in their lives. We will also be using the science journal, and the students will be using magazine clippings, and this is part of in class and at home. And they will be finding pictures of needs and wants, and they'll have to categorize them in their science journals as a need and a want. And that will be how the teacher can assess whether they understand the difference. Another component to the lesson on needs and wants is the bulletin board. What I've done here is just the base of the bulletin board, and it gives the title of what the class will be learning about throughout the unit. And to this we'll have lots of room to expand, and during this lesson the students will be adding display pictures of needs and wants, which the teacher will be drawing and writing on chart paper. So they'll have discussion and write it down and add it to the bulletin board. So lesson number 4 is all about animal characteristics. And the purpose of this lesson is to teach children about animals in comparison to ourselves. In this lesson we mostly focus on domestic animals, including dogs. So later on we will talk about wild animals as well, but they want to learn to relate them to themselves. This story, we use the story of Loki and Alex, which is available, as all our stories are, through the Regina Public Library, and you can also look online. So this story tells about a little boy and his dog and all the adventures that they go through in a day. But there's lots of comparison and contrast between the two, and the activities that Alex can do and Loki can't do, like talking, and the things that Loki can do that Alex can't do, like running on 4 legs type thing, which I guess children can do, but not the same way. In this lesson, what we're going to do is read it with the students, and then they will demonstrate their understanding in the science journal. they will have to either draw a picture or write what they can, because this is only grade 1. We don't expect them to be writing pages and pages, but just to even, again, categorize the difference between Loki and Alex in the story. So moving on along to lesson number 5, Animal Needs and Wants. The purpose of this lesson is for the children to be able to relate the previous lesson about human needs and wants to animals. So, similar to what we did with the other lesson, the teacher will have a variety of objects that relate to a dog. This lesson can also be changed to a different animal if the class has a general interest in a different animal, like a cat or a hamster or something like that. So some of the items would include a bowl for water, a dog treat, a squeaky toy, and a leash. And what the teacher will do is ask the students to say whether it is a need or want. And the assessment on this will be that the teacher will, be able to understand if they get what a need and want is based on their responses. Some kids, though, they may say that a leash is a want of a dog and not a need, because maybe they grew up with a dog on the farm that ran loose. And others may say that a dog toy is just a want, but someone may say, no, a dog needs lots of love, and they get that through playing with toys. So there could be a lot of responses, and a lot of them are arguable, and really no wrong or right except for the basics like food and water. During this lesson, we will also be relating back to the story Loki and Alex. The teacher may choose to reread the story, or she may just want to make general comments that relate back to it. So this lesson, the teacher will also be using a piece of chartboard paper, and again, same with the previous lesson about human needs and wants, she will categorize what they say is a need and a want of a dog on chart paper to be displayed on the bulletin board. And the kids will also write in their science journals the differentiations they can make between needs and wants of a dog. The lesson number 6 is an animal visit, which is really exciting for kids in grade 1. They'll be engaging in a live animal visit. But beforehand, it's important to teach them about safety when dealing with domestic animals. So the story Don't Lick the Dog will be introduced, and it's also available at the Regina Public Library. And this story basically uses a really cute way to talk about being safe with strange animals. And it's a great resource to talk about right before the animal visit. Then the big part of the lesson will be the animal coming in, and I mean, this lesson can be changed to any animal that the students have an interest in. It's also important to note that if one of the students has, say, a baby puppy, the teacher may want to have the dog visit several times throughout the year so the students can learn about the growth and development of an animal. This lesson relates to environmental education because, again, it's just all about understanding and engaging with different things within themselves, and they will gain a respect and know how to be safely around domestic animals. The teacher will also be writing on chart paper and adding it to the bulletin board about their favorite part of the visit to display. And in the science journals, the students will also be writing down what they remembered about their visit as their favorite part, and they can do this through just drawing a picture, or they can write words if they are at that skill level. This lesson can be altered also for different allergies, and everything can be edited for different student needs. Great, so the next lesson is lesson number 7, Comparing Ourselves to Animals, which basically describes the whole purpose of the lesson. It's to relate animals directly to ourselves, and the children will be engaging in this through an activity where they actually go outside and do some track hunting. But first of all, the teacher will read with them the story, Whose Tracks Are These? And this story actually talks about 4 common animals like a deer, a squirrel, a rabbit, and a chipmunk. And it shows their tracks, and the students have to guess what the animal is. So they'll go out into a safe area. The teacher will have to make sure that if there's any wheelchair students, that they can have access, and they'll look for tracks. And then they're going to draw these tracks, pictures, in their science journals. The big part of this lesson, though, if the students don't see a lot of animal tracks, is for the teacher to have a discussion with them about why they don't see animal tracks. And this will lead to their understanding that maybe we've built too many buildings where animals' natural habitats are, and that's why they can't live so close anymore. And the students may actually want to be proactive with this lesson and, together with the teacher, write a letter to the mayor saying that they're concerned or that they would like to save some natural habitat through this letter to the mayor, or even a visit to the mayor. So that would be an awesome activity to go along with that. Alright, just one more thing to add about all the previous lessons with animals and domestic animals. You may want to get the children thinking about respect for those animals by taking them on a visit to like a humane society or an animal shelter, if the students show a good interest in it, and this will help them to, again, better understand their characteristics and their physical and emotional needs and wants.
Lesson number 8 is plant characteristics. The purpose of this lesson is to make students recognize that plants are living things also, and that they have similar characteristics to animals and humans. This is also a lesson to introduce the care for plants. So the class is going to start out with an engaging video. It's on Brain Pop, and it's about all the plant characteristics. And then they're going to go outside and find some leaves without pulling them off trees or bushes. And then we're going to go into class and do a leaf rubbing in their science journals. Then they're going to discuss the parts that we heard in the video, and we're going to label a diagram of a flower, which is also going to go in our science journals. And then the teacher is going to prepare a whole bunch of real plants in the classroom, and the children are going to identify the parts on the real plants. Also, a thing that you can do with this lesson is get a student to water the plants every day and kind of care for them. Lesson number 9 is plant needs. The purpose is that the student will realize that seeds and plants need each other, and that a seed will eventually grow into a plant. They also learn about things that hurt plants and things that help plants. And along with this, they will learn the 4 needs of plants, which is water, sun, air, and soil. So we're going to be reading the story, The Tiny Seed. And before we read the story, the teacher is going to write up the word predictions, and the students are going to write this in their science journals. While the teacher is reading, she will ask the students to predict what they think will happen in the story. So for example, on this page it says, one of the seeds flies higher than the others. Up, up it goes. So then they would predict what would happen. So it says it flies too high and the sun's hot rays burn it up. So that might be their prediction. So after reading the story, the students will get a worksheet that has 2 columns. One column will say this is what hurts the seed, and this is what helps the tiny seed. And the students will realize that what helped the seed are the basic needs of a plant. So this is lesson 10, which is plant care. The purpose of this lesson is for the students to bring together all the knowledge they've learned about plants into caring for a plant. So we will be planting a fast sprouting speed, whether that's lima beans, radish beans, etc. And the class will be split up into 4 groups. Each group will have a different growing condition. So one group will have a plant without sun, so they'll put it under a box or they'll put it in a closet. And another one will be without water, so they won't water that plant. And then another one will be a plant without air. So the plant will be put in a plastic bag. The 4th growing condition is just all the needs attended. So the students will be watering it, they'll give it sun, they'll give it air, and they'll obviously have soil. So after that, the teacher will ask them what they think will happen to the plants. And every day after, they'll be watering it if they need to water it, and they'll be caring for their plants. And they will record pictures or words to represent what's happening with the plant. So lesson number 11 is comparing ourselves to plants. The purpose of this lesson is to further their understanding that living things need respect, and also to realize that humans and plants are similar in some ways. So we're going to start out the lesson with an activity. As you can see in this picture, the kids are going to have a picture of themselves, and we're going to put it in the middle of a flower that they create. And it's going to be put on a board that says, "Watch me grow." It could even be on the bulletin board. So after that, the teacher is going to have a list for humans and then a list for plants. The teacher is going to have a picture of a human and a picture of a plant. So the students are going to list the characteristics of that human and then the characteristics of the other plant there. And then they're going to write that in their science journals, and we're going to circle the similarities. So after that, we're going to do a celery experiment. The day before, they are going to put a celery stick in a glass of water with food dye, and then the next day they're going to see how it looks. So the celery is going to be turned a different color, and the teacher is going to ask them if that's the same way that humans take in water, and they would say no. So, and then after that, the teacher will explain that we need to treat plants with as much respect as we treat ourselves. So we are going to create a poster that says, "Treat other living things like you would want to be treated, instead of treating others the way you want to be treated." So lesson 12, the last lesson, is called "How Are We Connected?" The class will start out with the teacher having a bag, and she's going to pull out items. The students will say how they use this item or what they need them for. So for example, if I brought out a potato, students would say maybe that they eat potatoes or that they make fries out of potatoes. And another example, if I brought out a picture of a dog, students would be like maybe they have a pet dog or that their friend has a pet dog. So after that, we'll do a similar thing to the last lesson, and I'll show a picture of a dog, and the students will list and talk about the characteristics of this particular dog, and they will incorporate it with their list from the previous lesson and circle the similarities. After that, they will be asked to create their own habitat. So they will pick either a human, an animal, or a plant, and they will draw that on their science journals, and then they will create an environment that tends to their needs. And this includes other animals, plants, and humans. And after all the lessons are done, they're going to be assessed on all of their journal entries that we have done in the whole entire unit. Thank you for listening to our demonstration of our 12 lessons in our ESCI unit plan.
We hope that these lessons will be able to be manipulated to your classroom, and that they can also be adapted to fit other learner needs. And yeah, just thank you for everything. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.